conference, I want to bring some other perspectives which I think are necessary for this movement to go forward. So I'm trying to look at the past of the free software movement in India and what lessons we have in store from the past, and how we may have to rethink our movement going forward, if it is to be a movement. Maybe some of you will remember what happened in March 1996. Probably it was one milestone in whether free software or open source in India. Anyone got any clue what happened in 1996? So it was just after 1 year when the public internet was made available in India and before Google and Wikipedia. A major milestone in free software or even open source happened on that month. It was on that month the PCQuest magazine. I don't know how many of you are aware or have seen this magazine. So PCQuest magazine came out with an issue which carried a GNU Linux distribution. It was called Slackware distribution. And probably it was through that initiative a lot of us came to know about free software and started using free software. And definitely that means the open source software also, because all free softwares are open source, even though all open source software are not free. So after PCQuest distributed this GNU Linux distribution on a CD-ROM, at the time the internet access was very, very costly and difficult, the people of India started enjoying the benefits of the free software. And that led to something quite interesting. We started seeing many user groups of free software coming up across India. So why did the user groups come in? So user groups are a vibrant movement, and that made free and open source software much more than just a piece of software. Free software, that is how the free software becomes a movement, a collective of people who wants to make change. And that was the real spirit that was driving this movement. And many people, many leaders emerged from different parts of the country. For example, Adul Chitnis from Bangalore, Raju Mathur from Delhi. Fortunately or unfortunately, Wikipedia was not there, and their work is not documented much. I was looking for a cover image of PCQuest magazine, which was a very, very important milestone in this 96 issue, and unfortunately I couldn't find any on the internet. So the internet as a source of information is not complete. It has its own biases. So the groups came up, and it was like a David and Goliath fight, and there was Microsoft and the proprietary software. Microsoft symbolized the proprietary, because that they were the dominant players, and there was a lot of discussions going on around the country. And we thought the revolution had started, a change is coming, and that was our feeling. So why people started using free software? There were many reasons. It was quite interesting. It was a toy for people working in technology to play around, explore new things. So it gave them some new power which they never had, and developers got more power. So empowering developer was the one most important aspect of that change, and it enabled them to learn new things, which was not possible before that. So what did it means to the common user? So one of the first applications, many common users started using GNU Linux just to share the internet. It was a very important application because the dominant desktop operating system at that time, the proprietary Windows 95, didn't have the support to share the internet, to one internet connection to multiple machines. So many places people started putting GNU Linux operating system just to share one internet connection, which was, the connection was very costly at that point of time. So that was what probably the free software meant to the users at that point of time. So what was free in free software at that point of time? It's not very clear whether it was free of cost, the freedom and the power, like the power to share the one internet connection, or something more. We don't know. Then many things happened. Again, the Bang Linux in 2000 in Bangalore was another very important milestone, when the Richard Matthew Stallman came in, and he triggered a much more political discourse on what exactly is this free and open source software. Is it just about the technology and the power, the tinkering and that kind of freedom, or something more important? So that discourse started, and it was a frictious process. For example, Bangalore community of free and open source software, which include Adul Chitnis, they took a position at a later point of time that no, let us not have any political discussions. This free and open source is all about technology and building new technology and the freedom to tinker with a mind of a child who is exploring new things. So that was what free software meant to them, and persons like Richard Stallman challenged that notion, and they said there is something much more important at stake on which discussion needs to happen. And anyway, the community was getting more vibrant, getting more attention, free software becoming slowly mainstream. And in 2001, in my part of the country, the Kerala state, the government announced a policy which said they will prefer free and open source software in the e-governance application. And again, many things happened. In 2004, Ubuntu came. The desktop users became very easy. More people started using free software. Again, in Kerala, the schools, by around 2004, all the schools started using free software, something like 60,000 machines and 60,000, more than 60,000 machines, and 60,000 teachers got trained, etc., etc. So we thought we are winning. Probably we were. But now when we look back, where are the lugs and glugs and FSUGs? We don't see them anymore. They are not vibrant. So, is it that we have won the war? We have secured the future of computing with free software and open source. Is that why the glugs are not necessary anymore? Or we are not there anymore? So what replaced these groups? We see Microsoft user groups, developer user group, the Google developers groups, very active, hugely funded, lot of money flowing in. Look at the sponsors list of this conference, you will see that reality. So world has changed. World has changed completely. So, what is next? This is what we see happening. Once upon a time, the Microsofts and Oracles of the world thought free software is their enemy and they are going to destroy us. And now they don't seem to be so worried. What has changed? What changed is how we do our computing. The way we compute has dramatically changed, and much in the favor of the proprietary software industry. That is what happened. They changed the game. So they brought in the cloud, virtual computing, etc. As somebody said, there is no cloud, only other person's computer. They talk about something called cloud, but what is cloud? If you want to compute, you need a machine to compute. Where is it? So this is what happened. You are not doing your computation in your computer. And another major change was mobile application, where the platform, the hardware and software is locked, and one or two firms that dominate the entire segment, and they have the absolute control. And you are at the mercy of these companies, and you don't have any freedom anymore. And they don't have to worry, these companies or proprietary software firms, they don't have to worry anymore about free software, because the software is not in your hand. You are not going to replace them. In short, they turned all of you developers into consumers. You are mere consumers of these technology providers. And your power to question is coming down. In '96, I could remove Microsoft Windows operating system and other proprietary software from my computer and replace it with Slackware at that point of time, a GNU Linux operating system. What will I do now? When my computing is happening in somebody else's computer. So where is the problem? I think the problem lies in where and what we were discussing throughout this late 90s and early 2000 period. We discussed about free software and probably even open source with these 4 freedoms. The 4 freedoms which are necessary and which defines a software as free or not free. But in the process, I feel we forgot to discuss this. Whose freedom? Availability of source code directly affects the developer, only the developer. If I have a source code, I can learn from the source code, and if I have the permission to change, I can change. These are necessary, but much more important is the issue of freedom in computing, which we stopped discussing quite long back. We thought discussing about these questions, which are political questions, because it deals with power. The freedom is related to power. Freedom from whom? And freedom from what? So, free software started essentially raising this question about the freedom of the users of computing, not about the developers. It is all about the users. Are you free in using your computing, or is there some others gaining power over you by way of you using a software which they may have created and given to you? So it is this power which is the essential question, which we forgot, and we enjoyed the benefits of playing around with a toy like a child when the source code became available. And we created many things. Definitely, it helped us to move forward a lot, and we enjoyed, we innovated, we built new things, all made possible by free software. But if you have to sustain this benefits that the free software has brought to you, if that need to be sustained in the future, where your power, our computing is taken away from you knowingly or unknowingly, and you willingly giving that freedom to some others for some practical benefits and advantages, we are going into a trap. And to me, the only way forward is to start discussing, is to look back at the basics, where the free software idea came from, why it came from, what it stood for. No, it was never for the developer. Definitely, it affects the developer because every developer is a user of a software. So every developer is affected by software and the restrictions and on freedom that the software imposes. But much more important is how it affects you as a user. So developers could relate to the issue of free software much before other common users, because they know how the technology is moving ahead and how it is affecting us. So that is precisely the reason I think around 2004, 2005 itself, Richard Stallman was warning us against the future developments of software as a service, etc. Nobody really cared at that time, and nobody could really comprehend what is at stake at that point of time. So the lead users understand and signal it, but at the end of the day, the freedom will be defended only by the common users understanding, appreciating, and defending this freedom. So to me, the way forward is to bring this discussion to the society and to the common citizen of this country. And we have seen it several times in the history. We lost our political freedom long back and came under the colonial rules when we gave away some of our freedom for the benefits of ours, for some convenience. We gave space for the traders to trade, and the traders later became the rulers. And then we had to have a very difficult battle to gain the freedom back. And we will see the same battle in computing if we forget our past. So thank you.
Can you just brief about what all activities ICFOSS is directing in the area of governance, basically in Kerala, in relation to computing?
Okay. So, as I said, in Kerala there was an intense public discourse around the software freedom back in 2000, 2001, 2003, 2004, that period. So there was a public consciousness built around this issue of software freedom. And it started with the school education thing and what technology to be used in schools and what we should teach the school children. So some teachers felt that by using free proprietary software, we will be going counter to the curriculum framework. So we have something called National Curriculum Framework, which is created for the entire country. And the curriculum framework talks not just about what subject to be taught, but also what value to be taught to the children and the future citizens of India. So we found that some of the values of proprietary system is counter to the value which we want to imbibe on the children. And the teachers started questioning this. So that later became a major discourse, and then finally the government decided to move to free software. And later some similar discourses emerged within some of the public utility companies, and the most important one is the Kerala Electricity Board, one of the largest public sector enterprise in Kerala, and they had a system developed by Microsoft and PwC, and it was pathetic, and then the staff there wanted to take it on their hand and decided to build their own systems. So that is literally what they did in the first phase. So, and it was a massive project. So they developed the entire solution for the building using free software in-house, and they called for the entire organization to move to free software. Even though that has not happened completely, a substantial part of their operations moved to free software. And then the public pressure on the government started increasing. And Kerala gained certain attention on their different style of adopting free software. So the government decided to create an entity which will support the further migration of public agencies to free software. So that is how ICFOSS came into being. And it was a very, very small organization, but expanded dramatically in the last 2 years. So ICFOSS works on various technologies. Primarily now the focus is on free software for education, free software for disability, and free software for spatial information systems. So these are the 3 areas where we focus. We also work on local language computing and few other areas, but these 3 are some of the key areas where ICFOSS is working, and we work closely with other relevant public agencies in this field. So that is what ICFOSS.